When you look at the side of our John Deere machines, we've got the option to put a chemical eductor on the side. This machine does have a chemical eductor. You can get it without. Really nice part about the chemical eductor, being able to load our chemicals, whether it's a liquid or a dry product, directly from the side of the machine. And the nice part about the John Deere system is we can load the eductor whether we're filling the machine or not, which a lot of our competitors in the market don't have the ability to do. The machine can bring water into the eductor to rinse. There's a jug rinse inside of the stainless steel enclosure as well. It makes for a really clean, really simple solution. When we take a closer look at the side of the machine, this system is called the Automatic Solution Command System. And there are two different versions of this available. There's an auto and a manual available. When the machine is ordered with this system, it is not retrofittable one way or the other. So the machine will always have either the manual or the auto solution command. Now when we look at this keypad and LCD screen, there's a few features to call out that really make operating the machine a lot more user-friendly and takes a lot fewer trips up to the cab. When we look at our eductor, for instance, we can turn our eductor on using this keypad, first by turning our pump on, our number 2 button, and then the eductor button, which is our number 6. That allows us to use the eductor, loading product from the side of the machine if the machine is equipped with one. When we compare the manual with the auto solution command has 12 buttons all in total, and allows for the ability to rinse, turn on agitation, turn on load fill lights, turn on the pump to either suck on with the machine or have it pushed on from a nurse pump, and also a feature that is industry exclusive called target fill. And target fill is a really cool feature that we can punch in how many gallons we want loaded into the machine if we're using the sprayer's pump to load, and the machine will automatically shut down when it gets to the set gallons. So for instance, if I'm finishing out a field, I've got 25 acres left, I'm spraying 10 gallons an acre, I can load on that 250 gallons or maybe a little bit more just to make sure I finish without having to guess utilizing the sight gauge. So it's a really nice feature, again called target fill, that is just a feature when we have the automatic solution command system.
One of the things too that the solution command system adds is a nozzle check, Nate. So as you're out there, you got the pump running, you've engaged it, you got your booms unfolded, you can actually push that lower left button, kind of looks like a little eye, and it'll actually start a nozzle check. Now when you push the button, it's going to be delayed about 10 seconds to give you time to walk around behind the machine, and starting in the far left, it's going to turn on each valve section independently for a few seconds, so you can take a look at that, make sure you don't have a plugged nozzle, all your patterns look good, and then walk up and down the boom to make sure everything looks acceptable as the operator. So nice to be able to do that right from the ground. You don't got to jump up in the cab, turn on your spray pump, turn on your system, and then get out. You can back up to a fence line, and do this right at the edge of the field if you have a suspect nozzle.
Along the same line too, Matt, if we look at the number 7 button just above the eye, if we wanted to turn the whole boom on all at the same time, so say I cleaned out my boom strainers or I was rinsing the machine, I can turn the whole machine on at once too, and it'll run at basically a minimum pressure and allow us to do that from the cab without having to hop up into the screen, punch in a simulated speed, for instance, turn on the pump, turn on the master. I can do it all from the ground by turning on my pump, hitting my number 7 or the visual check button in the lower left, and make all the checks we need without going anywhere except from by the ground. So I got all my tools and everything with me. I don't have to contaminate my cab with working on the nozzles and keeping the cab clean. If we look a little further back on the machine, depending on the model that you order, there's a couple different options available for pumps and flow. With our R4030s and R4038s, those machines have what we call our standard flow system. The R4038 can also have a high flow system added. What does that mean? Basically, a standard flow system flows at about 170 gallons per minute on the top end. So if we're looking at doing high rates of liquid nitrogen or liquid fertilizer for that matter, we can put out about 170 gallons a minute with our standard flow. The R4038, the R4045, and the R4060 can all be equipped with a high flow system, and it's often referred to as a dual flow meter system as well. Those systems increase capacity by about 50 gallons a minute. 225 gallons a minute is our max flow on our high flow systems. And what the handles back here are really looking at, depending on the rate that you're applying, we can put the machine into a low flow, standard flow, or if it's equipped, a high flow setting. So under 26 gallons per minute, which depending on what you're spraying and your boom width, typically for a 120 foot boom, that 5 gallon an acre range will typically be in a low flow mode. And what we're doing is essentially orificing that solution line so that we don't have surges and dips in our flow and in our pressure which makes for a nice even flow pattern, keeps good pressure to the tips as well. So that is the handle on the far left. The middle handle is one to operate in a high flow mode. So again, if we're in this case operating in standard above 26 gallons per minute, we leave that orifice valve where it is. The final valve in the system there is basically a boom shutoff, just an open close valve, and allows us, if we're going to do any work on the boom, that we don't have a straight line from the solution tank through the pump out of the boom. So we can shut that off if we do need to work on anything. Like the flow meters, for instance, if we spray something like atrazine or a dry soluble chemical, we can shut that off so we're not allowing additional fluid into the system if we're working on it. When we look at the front of our machine, one of the options that we have is to add a front fill line option. The front fill option is a 3-inch fill, and it does have a couple features that we're going to call out. So first off, it's got the yellow banjo valve there. That's just an on-off valve, isolating the machine from whatever you're nursing the sprayer with. On the left side, there's a black handle, and that handle is an air purge line. Further back in this line, there's a check valve that if we need to clean our line out to minimize contamination from switching different products, or if we just want to clean it out so we don't have products sitting in that line, not in solution, not getting sprayed out, we can purge that whole line that goes back just before the solution tank. Now when we load on the front fill, you notice there's a black switch just above that yellow handle. That switch opens and closes a valve in the sump of the spray tank. So if we're trying to load the sprayer, we first come over, we hook up, we open our yellow valve. We need to take that switch, if we're pushing on with a pump on the nurse trailer, we need to put that switch in the middle position, or that white line in the black box, the on position. That opens the valve, allows a free flow of product in when we're pushing it on. Now if we wanted to pull product on using the sprayer pump, there's a detent position on the top side of that switch. We can just push and release it. It starts the pump up on the sprayer and immediately starts sucking product on. So when we talked about the automatic solution command system, this is where we could enable target fill, or the nice part about having the auto solution command system, there's floats inside of the tank. If it knows this machine, say we're looking at an R4030, it knows when that machine hits 1,000 gallons that it is full, and it'll automatically shut the sprayer pump down without any additional operator involvement. Now if we have the manual solution command, it doesn't have that feature. You just gotta flip the switch down to off, it'll shut the pump off, you can close your handle, purge your line, unhook, and you're ready to go. One of the additional features we look at that we can add onto our 4 Series sprayers is direct injection. Now direct injection can be added to our R4030, R4038, and R4045 sprayers. It is not compatible with the R4044 and R4060 machines. The direct injection system we use for our John Deere sprayers is a system made by Raven Industries. We do have the option of carrying up to 235 gallons of concentrated chemical, which is basically distributed between 4 tanks that are 50 gallons and then a 35-gallon tank as well. We have the option of putting on 3 separate direct inject pumps, and any combination of those. You can have 1 pump, 2 pump, or up to 3 in a high flow or a low flow variety. So our high flow pumps run about 5 to 200 ounces per minute. The low flow pumps run between 1 and 40 ounces a minute. Now again, that's ounces per minute, not ounces per acre. Essentially what that equates to, if you think about product, a high flow setup would be something more like Roundup or a Dicamba or a Liberty type of product, where you're applying 12 to 32 or 40 ounces an acre, no matter your boom width. The low flow pump would be things more like DRAs or drift reducing agents. You're going to be closer to that 2 or 3 ounces an acre. Where customers really find the advantage of having a direct inject system, Dicamba's been in the news a lot. We talk about it a lot on this webinar as well. But by having a product like that's a restricted use, for instance, we can keep it in a smaller 50-gallon tank, not contaminate our solution tank, and turn it on and off at will without having to do as extensive of a rinsing process. The other part that's nice about direct injection, if you are using it for drift reducing agents, you can turn the drift reducing agents on and off at will as well. So if you want to turn it on when you border a field, you can turn it off on the body of the field if the weather conditions allow. Save the additional money, but apply it where you need it. And it's a really great advantage of the direct injection system. Now these pumps are located on the back part of the machine behind the solution tank. Our R4044 and R4060 are not compatible with direct injection. Those essentially sit on chassis that are similar to other models, but they stretch the solution tank a little longer, take up the spot where direct injection would sit. These systems are also equipped with flush valves, so we can flush our pumps from inside of the cab, and that will pull water from our clean rinse tank through the pump, and we spray it out the boom or catch it if we want to as well. And another kind of last nice feature, when loading direct injection, those valves by default, we typically mount them in the back. Some people will mount them off to the side. It's really operator preference, but they use a flush fill valve from Banjo. So it's a no drip valve. You essentially take the end off of your bulk tote of chemical, put on this flush face, and it clicks in. You load up as much product as you want. When you unhook, you just pull down on a collar and it will disconnect without dripping any product on the ground. So a really nice option there. The direct injection systems are really pretty bulletproof. I've had a lot of good luck with them, and operators see a lot of increased efficiency. Think about the fact you can carry 235 more gallons of water or product, but also you can load up your chemical for the day, then just keep filling water and maybe a couple things you're mixing in the tank, and then inject your corn killer, your dicambas, your liberties as you need as well.